the original reason to do the Composers Festival is very simple. When I moved to Hastings, I didn't know any composers. So I wanted to meet people that share my type of concept about music, the type of music being classical composer, but more accessible music. So I contacted people that I knew from the past when I lived in London, and I contacted other people internationally, and noticed that there was quite an interest about getting together and perform our type of music. So we started in 2012, in a way quite moderately. It was very successful. A year later we did the next one in 2013, and then I got totally exhausted because I was overambitious. I thought at the time, well, I'm not going to do it anymore. But due to the pressure and the love of the people doing it, that they love it so much, I thought, well, I do it another time. I do it maybe 3 years later.
To conduct quite such a range of pieces is a massive challenge. It's a huge challenge for me, it's a huge challenge for the orchestra. I think for the audience it's wonderful, and Polo has curated these programs so carefully to make really strong contrasts. I think that's been a huge strength, and the audiences really appreciate it. They appreciate going from something incredibly dark and powerful and dramatic to something lighter, something more joyous. They love those contrasts. For us, it's really hard because you're always going from 0 to 60 in a completely new style, a completely new voice, stylistically sometimes very separate, emotionally completely different. So that's probably the greatest challenge that we face, alongside the simple fact of getting 18 pieces onto a single program and rehearsed in a single session. It's a big challenge.
It's a really special experience because all the musicians from the world, different country, gathering together, knowing each other, sharing the music is a very special experience for me as well. Because I'm a classical concert pianist, but last night I played the La La Land, the movie, film music with the orchestra. Last night was amazing. I really had fun.
To be part of the International Compsoerds Festival this year is a great honor for me. I've been called by Polo Piatti, who of course is the artistic director and the founder of the festival. These 3 days have been incredible, very inspirational, and just to be in the spirit of this festival, surrounded by so many composers from all over the world and soloists who, of course, they perform the pieces, and let's not forget that without the musicians, the creations of the composers cannot be expressed. We were discussing this with some composers just before on what is it to compose, what is it to write, and it is an expression of an inner emotion. It needs to touch me, to move me in some way, move my soul. So is music. It should be something that lasts throughout time and can move the person. For me, this is the music that does that to me. The tuneful, beautiful, melodious music. For me, it's a great privilege to be part of this year's festival, and I'm very happy to be here, and also to talk with the composers and see their view. We're all musicians, but at the end of the day, we're all different in how we think, how we express our creativity.
I did some research for a press release recently, and there is still only less than 1% of works being performed in concerts worldwide are by female composers. So it's really great to see that Polo Piatti, the organiser, has gone out of its way to find female composers who are good female composers, not just for the sake of being female, to be a part of this. And I think it's only by hearing female composers and seeing their images that people's concept will change.
Well, the fact that we have so many female composers is not because of the... I sat down with my committee and we decided, okay, we have to give poor women the opportunity to... No, there's nothing to do with that. It's to do with the quality of music that we've received. I never look at the pedigree, the CV, the age, the gender. It doesn't really matter to me. I listen to the music and look at the score. If the music is well written.
I want to believe that we're in a much better situation now with this than years back, when women composers were usually in the shadow of the men. It's nice and very encouraging to see that this is changing nowadays. I still think that we have a long way to go, but we're in a better place. And yes, in this festival, it's very promising, and it's great to see that out of the 50 composers chosen to take part in the festival, 10 of them are women.
The profession as a composer should be available to everyone. Why not female composers?
It has been a male-dominated industry for about 500 years, but it doesn't have to be anymore, and it isn't anymore, and it's very exciting to be a part of that, and very important, I think, just to see more women represented in this, and I think it's a sign of the times. Girl power, I say.
This festival had so many people from unique walks of life. As I understand it, the goal of the festival is to make music as accessible as possible to the public and to expose new audiences to classical music. I'm not a composer who can compose completely without regard to melody or structure. So even within the piece where I'm stretching the limits of string technique, there's still melodies in there, and I'm still basically thinking of harmony. So. As nice as avant-garde music is, from an intellectual standpoint and an academic standpoint, it kind of puts a wall in between the listener and the music. And tunefulness is probably the best tool that we have as composers to be able to connect with the general public.
I think nowadays, as Paul said, currency of music, modern music, is atonal, very complicated music. Of course, some people want. That's okay. But a lot of people, I think, want to listen to beautiful music like Mozart, Beethoven, melodic music in a word.
I have been here in the last festival in 2015. The intention of this festival is that the tonal music, can be reached for more and more people, more public, that's the idea. I really appreciate the job that Polo is doing for this kind of music, the tonal music. But if you ask me for a few words, I say it's one of the most beautiful things.
When I'm composing the scores for video games, most of the time you don't really know how it's going to be heard, because in the game they're playing certain layers at different times, and you never hear the whole thing all together in one go. Yeah, the other thing, when I record these scores with orchestra, you tend to record all the sections separately, so you've got different layers to build up in the game. So I've never actually heard it performed live with everyone together in the same room. There's we do the strings separately, the brass, woodwind, percussion, and it'd just be so nice just to see everyone playing all at the same time. I just feel so privileged, really. It's there's so many great names here, and the orchestra are sounding fantastic. I've just been to the rehearsals, just seen a little bit of it, and they're just amazing players. Yeah, so it's a real privilege to be part of this.
I happened to see online a film of the director of the festival, Polo Piatti, who's a wonderful composer, living in the old town of Hastings, walking along the seafront and talking about his inspiration from the coast and the hills here. And that made me very intrigued about Polo, and so I discovered the festival. And Polo not only invited me to participate, but commissioned a rousing piece to begin the festival with.
From the beginning, we have been a Composers Festival that was internationally recognized, etc. But this time, we broke the mold, I think. We had so many composers we have composers coming from Finland, from Australia, from, as I said, from South America, from North America, from Russia. Incredible, really. So I'm very proud of that. It is very, very rewarding to see the reaction and to see so many young people in the orchestra, so many young composers as well, see that they hear and experience for the first time orchestral music being played in front of them. It's very special, so I'm very proud of that. Yeah. What is difficult is to do it without much funding. I always say I'm not going to do the festival again because it's very difficult to do it on a highest quality, employing professional musicians and doing with little money. If we in future had more support with regards to finances, it would be much, much easier for us. Obviously, I'm not interested in making money with the festival. It's about something totally different. It's promoting the type of music, as I said. But it would make my life much easier if we found more sponsors and people that are interested in sharing what we do.
So altitude is something that I chose to play at this festival, not because it's particularly complex or energetic or anything grand, but actually because of the process how it was written. It is something that was pure inspiration. I thought, well, that's symbolic of what this festival is perhaps all about. So So for me that was something that was beautiful, looking at the sky, blue sky, crystal clear blue sky, a plane flying with a vapor trail which is this kind of crystal white, slowly expanding. Everything is a different time up there, everything is in a different world almost. Everything in a pristine space and everything going on down below, all the worldly goings on and all the things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, they're all below us and we're just in this empty space by ourselves, this place that is meditative and reflective. And I had the best time of my life here because I played it alongside orchestra, and the orchestra, who are extremely talented, decided to improvise along with me, but they just blew me away with their incredible musicianship and talent, and it's a night I'll never forget.
Yeah, the ethos of the festival is trying to find a platform for composers from around the world that write our type of music. What type of music it is? It's music that is accessible, not because the tickets are cheap. It's accessible because of the fact that in general we try to write what we consider to be beautiful. That's a very contentious term because every composer thinks they write something beautiful or extraordinary or whatever. If you have the opportunity to listen to what people say after the concerts, the majority of the people say that was really beautiful, and this is quite encouraging. I wanted to make Hastings synonymous for the type of music that we write. Accessible, tuneful, melodic, harmonious, because I really think that the world is in much need of that type of music. Describing the Composer Festival in 3 words.
Eclectic.
Amazing.
Innovation.
Diverse.
Utterly exciting.
Also.
Special.
Intense.
Very inspirational.
Creation, new creation.
Incredible.
Memorable.
It's the future.
So yeah, I'm very happy but very exhausted. So I'm not going to do it again.